Hi, so today, like you can see, is another declutter. So in the year of 2022, I did 3 big declutter and downsized my collection significantly. Every big declutter I have done before, one is to declutter all the things that either is already off, like too old, and the things that I don't like. That's the first round of declutter. And the second round is to declutter things that I like but I wasn't really using. And the third was to declutter things that are too similar, that there's no meaning for me to have like too much things that looks the same. So this round we're gonna have a different topic, which is decluttering based on my style of makeup change. So in the past about half a year, my style of makeup changed a lot. I don't know if that's because of aging or I don't know. Maybe it's because aging that my face structure changed. I just feel like I don't like super intense, like super glam kind of look appealing to me anymore. I just feel like I much prefer like the simple looks. Doesn't have to be neutral. Maybe it could be like very bright orange all over the lid. That could be nice for me right now. It could be like a graphic liner or anything. I just don't like the color that's too deep, too rich. So yeah, today's makeup declutter is based on that makeup style of change. With that being said, I don't want to declutter every single thing that's like that can be giving me a glam look. I just want to declutter it in a way that I still have some choices, but I really don't have to hold on to so many palettes that's like the color are so rich that I won't reach for them that much. The intro got quite long, so let's just get started. And today we're gonna declutter all of the singles, big palettes, small palettes, everything eyeshadow. Okay. Except for the eyeshadow, the one single eyeshadow palette that's in my project pan. Other than that, everything else is here. Maybe you can start with the Suku quad, which is probably the hardest part of this declutter. Because I do love Suku, but I have to say that I don't have to hold on to this much. So let's count how many palettes do we have right now. It seems like I have around 40 palettes, like including big ones and smaller ones. I mean, before I probably had over like 200, 300, something ridiculous like that. But for right now, even though 40 is not too bad for someone like me that really loves makeup, but still, I think it's a little bit too much. A lot of them, since my style of makeup changed, I really haven't touched them for like more than like half of a year. And I think if I'm not using them for like half a year, I probably can let them go. Okay. So the first, let's see this pile of Suku. I actually happen to open the one that I love the most. It's the number 103 Amado, which means the ring sound. This is a limited edition, but I just love this palette. This palette is so cohesive and I love this purple. I love these two eyeshadow toppers. I just love this palette. I'm gonna keep this. And the next is this 101, I believe. This is the first limited edition palette. And for this palette, I have to say I don't use this palette enough, even though it's beautiful. It's two warm orange colors with two like silvery bluish toned colors. These two colors, I mean this color like too grayish for me, and if it's a grayish shimmer for me, I prefer something that's lighter, but this one has like a little bit too much depth, so I just don't use this color enough. And these two color I have it in other palettes, and this color I probably have it in other palettes, so I think I can let it go. I remember in last time I said that I want to keep this and see if I'm gonna use it in the next a couple months, and I didn't use this even once, so I think it's okay to let it go. I'm sure somebody will happily have this. And the next one is 104, the 다소가래 좀에? Yeah. And this is another one of my favorite limited edition quads from Suku. It's such a shame that this is a limited edition, and I just love this color. This orange color is so delicious. This whole palette, it just screams like a juicy summer. Does that even make sense? But it's that type of look. Fruity eyes, that kind of vibe. That like, I really, really love this palette. And this glitter is probably one of the best glitters in all of the Suku quads. Sometimes the glitter can have a slightly different formula, and I feel like this one does. It's like a little bit more intense than their normal formula. I love this. I'm gonna keep it. And this one is a bit tough. This is one of their autumn, like fall collection, and I just love this green, and I love these colors, but like I said, I don't use super rich colors anymore. So if I keep this, I'm probably just keeping it for these two colors, which I don't know. Like I said, I'm not planning to like declutter every single palette that includes some rich colors, because I still want to have some varieties and some choice. So I think I'm gonna set this aside to decide which like rich color palette I'm gonna keep. So that's a maybe pile. And this one I'm debating to keep. So even though it looks kind of dark, but other than this purple color, the other colors are actually pretty light colors, and I love this color combo. It actually looks so sophisticated on your eyes, and I just like it. Every time I use it, I love it so much. I think I'm gonna keep this. This is very special. And this is 108. This is, I think it's like a pre-holiday collection, probably. And I do love this palette. I just feel like this palette, other than this like deep gunmetal type of glitter, other than this color, the other colors are like very easy to find. And to be honest, I just don't use this kind of glitter like that much. So, but at the same time, I don't want to declutter every single palette. Like I said, that every single palette that's like a little bit glam. I think I'm gonna set this aside and decide later. And this palette, I still have this plastic thing, so you probably can tell that I haven't touched this in a long time. I think I can declutter this one. It's because it's just I never remember to use this one. It's so pretty. I think someone else can be like very happy to use this. And yeah, I'm gonna declutter this one. And this is one of their permanent collection. It's just the color 01, I believe. Yeah. This is like a mauve. palette. A part of me wanting to keep this, a part of me feel like it's okay to let it go. Let me set it aside because I have other mauve palettes. We can have a comparison. And this is the color 02. I don't know, I actually want to keep this palette because this color, how to say, this color combo, I have a lot of bigger palettes that's like the same color family. I want to declutter the big ones and keep the smaller ones, since nowadays I just do like simple looks more than like a very complicated looks. So I think I want to keep this one. And this is number 04. This is such a romantic color story, and I think I'm gonna keep this. Don't be mad at me that I'm keeping so much, because this is the Suku collection that I love. So yeah, I think I'm gonna keep this because, like I said, I still want some selections, some varieties, and this is such like a variable, cute pink kind of color story that I really like, and the quality is just my favorite kind of formula. This palette, on the other hand, I think this whole palette is just too rich of a color for me to use right now. Like, I still love this red, but I think I have another like palette that I want to keep has this same kind of red, and these taupe colors I just don't use that much anymore. And also I probably have like other palettes that include these colors as well, so I think this one can go as well. And this is the color 06. I want to keep this one because this is another, how to say, like cool toned kind of palette that I don't have much choice. I don't have much like cool toned colors like this. This color story actually reminds me of Chanel. I feel like their models often wear this kind of color combo, and I sometimes love to like occasionally use this kind of color on my eyes. So yeah, that's a keep as well. Again, Suku is one of my favorite kind of formula, so that's why I'm keeping a little bit more. Yeah, at least I decluttered 3 out of them. So the next is Natasha Denona. It's these 2 small palettes. One is Zendo, the other is the mini Biba palette. Yeah, I just don't understand the hype on these little palettes. Like, don't get me wrong, the formula is great. It's like the same formula as their bigger palettes. So like I don't have any complaint about that. I bought these because of Kelly Gooch on YouTube. I love her content. I watch almost every single video that she ever does. And she really like these Natasha Denona mini palettes. That's why I bought 2. And the thing is, I feel like these colors just look a little weird on my eyes. I don't know why. It looks weirdly pinky, which you don't see much pinkness in this palette. But somehow it just looks so pink on my eyes, and it's like a unflattering kind of pink. And these deeper colors works a little bit, not works funny, because the formula, like I said, is nice. I really like the formula. It's just the undertone. Something about the undertone is a little bit off for me. So most of the times, if I love the look the look I created using these 2 palettes, It's probably just like one of these mid-tone, lighter, like matte shades, a light wash all over the lid with a little bit of shimmer, which those looks I can easily recreate with just blush and highlight, so I don't need to keep these two. I don't know why the color, the undertone just didn't work for me. It's just something is a little bit off for me. But yeah, those are still in pretty nice condition. I'm sure someone else will happily use them. And this is a Dior Quint. It's a 5-color palette. It's their very famous soft cashmere palette. I'd love to say this palette is beautiful. Okay, it's beautiful. There's no doubt to that. But for some reason, I just don't reach for it. And every time if I reach for it, it's just only this color. Like you can see, the other colors pretty much untouched. And I'm just not about the life of keeping a whole palette for one shade. And this kind of taupey color, even though it's super beautiful, I have like similar shades like in other palettes or singles. And the recent years, a year or like half a year, I just realized I don't have to keep a shade just because it's a little bit different than the other shades. Like I don't need to have so many varieties that almost look the same, just has like the slightest difference. You know what I mean? Like a taupe is a taupe. Like even though it might look a little different in the pan, on the eyes it does not look that much different. So I don't need to keep that much taupe palettes. So yeah, I think I can let this one go. And again, it's like in a pretty nice condition. Someone else can happily use it. And these days I use like 1 color or 2 color on my eyes, and that's it. I don't do complicated looks that much anymore. So that palette just is a waste for me if I decide to keep it. And this is the Tom Ford Eye Color Quad in the shade Suspicion. This is probably the last palette from Tom Ford, and it's beautiful. But I probably only used this once in the last like 6 months. So I think that's the sign to let it go. It's just a pretty like topper kind of palette that I don't really need. This is a addiction palette that I made myself. Like the color combination is a little bit funny. If you look at it like this, but I do like the shades that I picked individually. So yeah, I'm gonna keep this. And this is a Surratt palette. Again, I made this palette myself. And this is, for me, it's like a multi-use palette. I can use these 3 individually or mixed together as highlight. I can use this one as bronzer or contour, and I can use all of them as eyeshadow. So yeah, I want to keep this one because I think this is very much my makeup style right now. And let me tackle these real quick because I don't think I'm decluttering any of these, what I'm like showing you. These are just small little palettes, like quads or queens, whatever. It is like the most popular type of eyeshadow in Japan, these smaller palettes. I've already gone through them like multiple times, and I think there's not much for me to declutter because I do use all of them. So all of them are kept. Since I already did so many declutters before, this declutter won't be like as dramatic as the previous ones. And this palette with 2 little colors in it from Bobbi Brown. I'm gonna keep it. I do use that like 2 colors in it. And this is my favorite matte palette that I can literally create any type of neutral shade that I want just from this palette. And I really like the formula. It's not too pigmented, it's very even, it blends beautifully, and it's buildable. So I'm gonna keep this one, of course. And this one is a little tough. It's the Natasha Denona Matra palette. I didn't use this one very much, as you can tell. The one color that I used the most is probably this glitter. It has like a green and brown and silver reflect. It's super beautiful. And other shades I just didn't use that much because, like I said, the color is just too rich for me to use for my liking. Now that my makeup style changed, I think I'm gonna declutter this. And I think the previous couple quads I kept from Suku has a lot of softer version of this, like the limited edition palettes, the fall limited edition palette from Suku includes some like softer version of this green, and I have some like softer version of these like rich orange colors, and these like pinky pinky colors. So yeah, since I have softer options that I will prefer way more than this one, and it's in such a like great condition, somebody else can have this. And the next is the Natasha Denona pastel palette. This palette, I had such a high hope on this, and I even did a review on my channel. And in that video, I really liked the palette, but the more I use it, the more I realized the quality isn't that great actually. The shimmer is a little bit chunky and thick in the way that I don't really like. It's like a little bit dull, kind of thick. And these pastel colors don't really lay on your eyes super nicely, like evenly and pigmented. And first I thought it was just because they are pastel shadows, so my standard is a little bit lower for them because they won't, I know they won't perform just as well as the neutral shades. But then I compared this to the ColourPop Fit Into the Hue, a ColourPop big pastel colorful palette, and that palette actually works way better than this palette. So I think it's just the quality is not there. Like, this is so expensive. I think even though it's a pastel palette, it should work for that price. And if I don't like the formula, there's no point for me to keep this. Yeah, I'm gonna declutter this one as well. This is a Natasha Denona Glam palette. I think I'm gonna keep this palette because even though there are a lot of rich colors, there are still a lot of these like lighter colors that I can reach for, and I think this is a nice palette to have on hand. Because you just never know, and this palette can provide a lot of varieties. Even if one day I want a richer glam kind of look, I can do it just with this palette. And even though it looks like very neutral, but you can really, there's a lot you can do with it. And yeah, I think I'm gonna keep this. And the next is this Natasha Denona Bronze palette. I actually, before, this is one of my favorite warm toned eyeshadow palette, and I do really like the formula and everything, but like I said, right now I just don't reach for the color that's this rich. And on top of that, again, the Suku quads that I kept probably has a lot of like similar orange, warmer, like pinky tones in here. So I think I don't need to keep this like big palette. And I think I probably only used once or twice during the last half a year, so I don't think I should keep this. The next is McGrath. I don't know if I'm gonna declutter any of them, to be honest, because they are just so special, these Bliss Astral shades. And these shades are actually very pretty as well. So this one is definitely a keep. This one is, yeah, I want to keep this one as well. I do love this shade and these shades. I'm just thinking these mauve shades are probably pretty similar to the Suku quad, right? You probably can't see very well, but I think the mauve shades here are pretty similar. So I think I can get rid of this Suku 01 quad and keep this McGrath palette. And this one is tough. I do want to keep these Bliss Astral shades, but I think the shades here is probably just too rich for me, but sometimes I love these two shades. Let's see, is there any similar shades here? I mean, you can't tell, but these two shades are pretty similar. Let me change the direction a little bit. On the camera it's hard to tell, but in real life this shade and this shade are pretty similar. So I'm thinking, which one should I keep? To be honest, I prefer this blue color rather than this green. But I just don't like these shades in this palette. So it's so hard to decide. Let me decide later. Maybe I'll keep both, I don't know. And this is another palette. I think this palette I'm definitely gonna keep because I do really like all of these glitters, and I do sometimes use these colors as well. This is a keep as well, actually. You know what, I think I'm just gonna keep all of my McGrath palettes because I just feel like I love them too much to get rid of any of them. And I don't want to regret, and if I do regret, it's gonna be a very expensive regret because they are all like over $100 for each. I'm not going to push myself too hard to declutter things today. This is actually another palette that I really want to keep because I do really love these neutral shades, and I do love these like super chunky glitters. They look not much from the palette, but they are actually very beautiful. But now I'm seeing this shade, I think the palette, the Suku palette, is pretty similar. Like I was really tend to like keep this palette just for this shade, but these two are pretty similar, right? They're almost the same. It's hard to see on the camera. Are you focusing? Yeah, this shade and this shade is like almost the same. So I think I can let go the Suku palette and keep this big Natasha Denona palette. And this is another big Natasha Denona palette. And I think I have to use this palette a little bit more to decide if I keep this or not. Even though there are a lot of richer color call it palette, palette. Even though there are a lot of rich colors in this palette, I still have a lot of like neutral tones and these purples to use, and also these blues. I don't know. On one hand, I feel like all of these neutrals I have the same in other palettes. At the same time, I want to keep this for these like purple blue tones a little bit. Let me see. Is there any similarities of these palettes? Because I'm planning to keep this ColourPop palette. This is the palette that I mentioned has better quality than the Natasha Denona pastel palette. The pastel palette. I don't know. I don't think they are super similar actually, but there are some like colors in the same color category. I don't know. Even though I said that I'm not gonna keep a palette just for one color, but yeah, like I said, I don't want to regret, and I need to use this palette more to decide. So yeah, that's keep. Let's see this palette. And now I'm seeing this palette and also the fact that I decluttered the Metropolis palette from Natasha Denona. I think I'm gonna keep this palette because it's nice to have these like special colors. And now let's see all of these single. Oh, there's another little quad. This is from ColourPop. I actually really like this palette. It's one of the only ones of the mauve colors that I actually enjoy. It actually looks pretty nice on olive skin tone. And these two glitters are so pretty. It's like a different formula than their other palettes. So yeah, I do love this palette, and I'm planning to keep it, and I'm gonna keep it. And these two I forgot to mention it. They are both from the Japanese drugstore Can Make, and I'm not gonna declutter any of them because I do use them regularly. Well, not too often, but I do use them. And let's see the single eyeshadows. Okay, this is a palette, but it's like empty, so I'm just gonna keep this empty palette, and in case I'm just gonna depot some palettes or some like single eyeshadows. So this one is from the brand Sugar Pill. I mean, it's a pretty color, but I just never reach for it. So I think it's time to let it go. And this Tom Ford cream and powder eye color in the shade Naked Browns. This is one of my favorite glitter formula, and I do love the cream part as well. I heard that they have decluttered this line, and I don't know why. I think this is one of their best eyeshadow lines. Even though it's decluttered, I'm thinking they probably just reformulating or repackaging them, because I feel like there's no way they're gonna get rid of this completely, because this is such a successful like launch of them. I don't think they will like get rid of this completely. So yeah, I'm gonna keep this. Like I don't know you can tell I have like a big dent in this glitter compact, and it's so densely packed, so for me to have a dent on it showed how much I have used it. These are all matte shades. Like this is a deeper brown that I can use for eyeliners, and I use this mid-tone brown to like use as a all over the lid shade sometimes. And this one is like similar, it's a little bit more pinky tone, but I use these like all over my lids sometimes. And I really like the formula, so I'm gonna keep them. And this is a cream eyeshadow from Muji. It's the Muji Eye Color Cream type in the shade Orange Brown. Like the color is cute and the finish is okay, but it settles into my like crease on my eye super like badly. So I think the lasting power is just lacking a little bit. So I'm gonna declutter this. This Dior Show Mono Luscious Smoky eyeshadow in the shade Reflection. I believe they repackaged and reformulated this whole line, so this specific formula and color both does not exist anymore. And this is like kind of this putty kind of formula, much like the ColourPop Super Shock eyeshadow, but just drier. The original formula already feel a little dry and it's like completely dried out. And I tried to use Duraline to revive it, but it does not really work. So I think it's like a little bit too long. I think I probably had this for like more than 6 years, and the expire date is like 6 months after open. I kind of sad because I don't know if you can tell. I think you can. I have used a lot of this, and this is such a unique product that I really loved. So yeah, I'm a little sad, but at the same time I got to let it go because it's just too old. It's time to go. These little eyeshadow sticks, I'm gonna keep them. They are so nice. Like this one is like a very deep brown shade. I use this sometimes as eyeliners, and this is just like a golden shimmer. Like it's very pretty if I blend this all over my lid. And these things in general is just much more of my style of makeup right now, so I'm gonna keep them. And the thing is, even though this one is like I have this for years and years, that at this point this is the By Terry Ombre Black Star is the cream eyeshadow stick, and the formula hasn't changed through all these years, which is like literally a miracle. And I just love the shine that it gives. It's so unique. I have in all these years never have like come across any other formula that performs quite the same. So yeah, I think I'm gonna keep all of them. On the other hand, this eyeshadow cream is from Cosme Décolleté. It's a luxury Japanese brand. It's under the Kanebo umbrella, I believe. I already hit pan, and I loved this eyeshadow so much. But the thing is, even now I use Duraline to revive it, it just does not perform the same anymore. I think it's just too old. It's probably like 6, 7 years old. And it just doesn't blend as even as it used to do. So I think it's time to let it go. It's long gone, long gone. And they have like repackaged this product like for several years at this point. So if I really want that again, maybe I can repurchase it in the future, but I don't think I'm gonna do it like very soon. This is a Comic Wink Glow Eyes. It's basically a cream eyeshadow. And it's so pretty, and it's so weird that they decide to make this a limited edition. Like, why do you make like a whole line of cream eyeshadow limited edition? Like, I don't understand. And the formula is just so beautiful. It looks like a nothing when I'm swatching it right now, but on the eyes it's like really so beautiful. I don't know why they decide to make it like limited edition. I don't understand. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Memorize in the shade Beige. I believe they have another name for this. The shade name has changed, but it's this like mid-tone brown. It's actually, even though it's just a neutral, like a bronze shade, it's actually kind of unique when you blend all over your eyes. It's like a subtle way of unique. Like, I really like it. It's just this formula creases on my eyes a little bit. That's the only thing that I don't really like. But I do adore this color, so I'm gonna keep that. And this is the Tom Ford cream color for eyes in the shade Sphinx. This one is discontinued as well, and it's so pretty. It's like a duochrome shift from pink to gold. I don't know why the camera can only catch the gold, not the pink, but yeah, it's so pretty. And I don't know if you can tell, I used a lot of it. I just want to keep it and maybe use it until I use it up or the formula goes off. But I swear these Tom Ford eyeshadows last forever. I have these for so long and the formula hasn't changed even a bit. And this is the same line. It's just different shade, the shade Platinum. This is the most beautiful taupe shade, and I just love the shade and the formula. And I already heat pan. I'm just gonna use it up. And I think this line is discontinued as well, but I do think they are just probably reformulating it, because there's no way that they just randomly stopped making cream eyeshadows and discontinue all of them. I think they are just like working on a new or like reformulated formula. And this is from Chanel. It's their ombre something. It's their glitter topper. I think this is probably discontinued as well, but I do love this one. This is such a pretty like topper shade. Yeah, it's so beautiful. It's dry, but it's still, I'm still okay to use it. It's still okay to use it. And this is the Natasha Denona Crystal Top Coat in the shade Peach. This is such a weird formula. It's like hard, already dried, hard as a rock, but still somehow I can still pick up products and use on my eye. It's just, it does not last long. Probably because it's already dried, so there's not much adhesive to your eye, so it just fades a little bit quick. But the finish is very pretty, and I don't really care about longevity that much anymore, because I don't really wear makeup on like outside that much anymore. And this is a limited edition Suku eyeshadow, liquid eyeshadow. It's the Glow Touch Eyes in the shade 101. And I had this for a long time. I was thinking to declutter this, but one day I used this as eyeliner and I really liked it. So yeah, I do want to keep it, and if you just blend it really well, it can be like a wash of color as well. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna keep it. And I think that's all for eyeshadow this time. Even though I didn't declutter as crazy amount of product as I did before in the previous declutters, but I still managed to declutter 12 palettes. I still managed to declutter 12 palettes, and I'm actually really happy about that because those 12 palettes can go to someone that really appreciate them. And I decluttered 2 expired single eyeshadows, which is also good, so they are not taking up space in my collection anymore. And yeah, these are now my collection. Let me show you. And these are my eyeshadow collection right now. It's mainly McGrath and Suku, and some singles, and only 4. I mean, other than the McGrath, only 4 or 5 bigger palettes, which I think it's a way better amount for me right now. And I'm really happy with my result. If one day I decide to do another declutter, I will, obviously, but in the meantime, at least for like a couple months, I think I'm good. I'm happy with the collection I got right now.